talk some football. We're getting blessed with some Tuesday football. Val, how's it going? Doing great, man. We're blessed with another day of football. Dopeaholic, how's it going? Daily Memes, how's it going, man? Andrew Early, good to see you. Eddie P, welcome. Johnny Katz, Greg, how we doing? Jake, what's up? Matt, dude, I've been waiting to see you, Matt. You were so right. Matthew Brooks, you should have seen the physical pain I was in. And Matt, week 13, probably the best week that I have had this season. We went, especially on Sunday. Yesterday we had a slight dip, but we went 7 out of 8 on our prop picks. Matt, we were all over Darren Waller in DFS. And I was so close to some of those top prizes. Yeah, I know you were going to say it. I was so close because I had Darren Waller, I had David Montgomery, I had Myles Gaskin in a lot of lineups, but all of those guys returned great value. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, I was all over all of these guys. And going into the later window games, all I needed was one good Miles Sanders performance. Just one good Miles Sanders performance against the Packers defense, allowing the second most fantasy points per game to the running back position. And what do we see on the first drive, Matt, was Jordan Howard getting the first down carries. Boston Scott getting the third down reps. I was in physical pain rooting for Miles Sanders in that game. Yeah, Andrew, me too, man. And if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, hit that like button. Helps us out a ton. Do appreciate that. You're down 33 with only Dobbins left. You're done, man. Love the app. Thanks for trying out the app. I appreciate it. Start Akers, Mostert, or Sanders. Well, I know one thing. I'm not going to make the same mistake with Miles Sanders. I had Corey Davis and Darren Waller lineup. They came in 24th out of 1.1 thousand. Yeah, that's money. Still, yeah, it's fun. It's fun when your lineup does that well. If you played Darren Waller, you did very well. Darren Waller had the 6th best tight end game of all time. All time. It was an insane tight end performance. Johnny, thanks for the like. In Walter, we trust. That is right. And yeah, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. Helps us out a ton. Takes like 2 seconds. I need Dobbins to get less than 0.8 points. Yeah, it's not happening. I need 25.5 from Lamar. I actually think Lamar Jackson is going to have a very, very good game tonight. I think Lamar Jackson over the next 4 weeks is going to win people fantasy football leagues. Corey Davis or A.J. Brown next week. I'd still lean towards A.J. Brown. But Corey Davis, guys, he has 1 week this entire season under 10 fantasy points. He's actually been one of the most consistent players in fantasy football. Ravens -6. I don't hate it. If you know me, you know I don't bet on spreads, but I don't hate the Ravens -6. I think the Ravens are much better than the Cowboys. Do you like Ayuk rest of the season, Johnny? I think it's going to be back and forth between Ayuk and Deebo Samuel leading that team in receiving. I don't think you can count on Ayuk to outdo Deebo Samuel every week. Akers or Mostert next week. Mostert was also such a letdown. I know, Miles Sanders. We are live on YouTube and TikTok right now, so if you're watching on TikTok and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, you got to go do that. Booker pulled an Alexander Madison, LOL. Yeah, he did. He was always a pretty good bust candidate. Week 14, Justin Jefferson or Julio Jones. Personally, I'm still on week 13. By the way, the WalterPicks app will be updated tomorrow morning with our week 14 projections. But that's a tough decision you're going to have to make there. I love Justin Jefferson probably more than anyone you know, so I might lean towards Justin Jefferson, but it's tough to have Julio Jones on your bench in the fantasy playoffs. Does Ertz help Sanders? Johnny, maybe, but what doesn't help Sanders is the fact that Jordan Howard is stealing first down snaps and that Boston Scott is stealing third down snaps. So, I mean, maybe Ertz will help Miles Sanders. I see maybe he opens up some running lanes because they have to, defend Ertz running too. But overall, I think Miles Sanders' floor is too low to trust. Do you bet money line? Nope. The only thing I bet on is player prop picks, which we have had 68% accuracy over the last 2 years, betting on over 200 bets. I've had 68% accuracy, and how I have done that is using artificial intelligence and machine learning, you can get access to all of the player prop picks that I bet on in the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store. McLaren will be fine. Yeah, agreed, Josh. Does Antonio Gibson come back this year? Oh, he could be done. That was brutal. First drive. What's today's player prop? The prop, we only got one player prop tonight. You got to be a premium subscriber in the WalterPicks app to see it. You can start the 3-day free trial and then see if you like the premium features before you subscribe. Gibson going to go out for 2+. Yeah, it's at least 2 weeks. Gucci DiNucci officially inactive tonight. I need the Ravens defense to score -30. Kruby here. Good to see you. Drake, Fournette, and Terry. I'd probably go with Drake and Terry. Is QT reliable? I don't know reliable is the word we can use, but he definitely has the upside we were hoping for, and that's enough to start him in your flex. Wait, is Lamar playing? Yes, Andrew. Lamar Jackson is playing, and I think he's going to play very, very well. Do you think Jacobs will play? I'm really not sure. I think he will. It seemed like he was close to playing this week, but we're going to have to wait for more updates throughout the week. And if you're watching live on YouTube right now, appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Hit that like button. Takes 2 seconds. Helps us out a ton. Helps us even reach more people. So hit that like button. Really would appreciate that. Yeah, QT's a start. Depending on who you're starting him over, of course, there's 2 sides to every start-sit decision. But I do think QT is an interesting upside play now in the flex for the remainder of the season. On Lamar's Insta, he was still driving to the field like 45 minutes ago. Andrew, what? Is that true? That's ridiculous. Do you think Amari Cooper just is solid wide receiver 2 rest of the season? I think he definitely has upside. I think everyone in the Cowboys offense has a significant amount of risk. We're going to see just how bad that offensive line looks again tonight with so many injuries. But I do still think Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott need to be in your starting lineups. I need Lamar to get 17 more than Dobbins. Pray for me, Sam. Dean, I think it's possible. I think Lamar's going to have a great game tonight. Love the app. Would you start Akers or Mostert next week? I think I would lean towards Akers. Mostert was another letdown. Dobbins or Zeke, non-PPR. I would lean towards Zeke, and I think someone asked me this earlier today too. I would lean towards Zeke tonight over Dobbins. I think you got to trust your studs. You drafted Ezekiel Elliott in the first round. Like, you got to go down with the guy you picked first, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to touch the ball more than Dobbins tonight, so I would go Zeke. What are your thoughts on Joe Mixon? Do you think he's coming back? He's been out for quite a while, and even if he does come back, which I'm not convinced he's going to come back for a Bengals team that's incentivized to lose at this point, I do think that you won't be able to trust him in that offense without Joe Burrow in still one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Thoughts on CMC rest of the year? Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is going to win leagues. If he comes back, it's happening. Dobbins prediction. I do like J.K. Dobbins. I think Dobbins is going to get between 10 and 15 points. Ooh, Matt, that's interesting. Let me check where it's at in my book, too. We've seen some pretty crazy movement, and I got to update what it says in the app if that's the case. I appreciate you not saying it, Matt, and I appreciate you being a premium subscriber. Let's see what it's at now. Because that one was actually close to the 65% confidence threshold. I'm looking at what I have it at. Walter, you're the GOAT. My name is actually Sam. It's a classic mix-up. I built an artificially intelligent algorithm. I named that algorithm Walter. But it's a classic mix-up, so don't worry about it. And you can get access to all of Walter's projections in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store, completely free to download. I gave everyone 25 free start-sit comparisons. Sam, my life is on the line tonight. I'm rooting for you, man. Yeah, wow. Matt, you're right. On my book, it's at 199. What was it? I mean, it's a good sign, but also pretty annoying. Wow, 20. It moved 20 yards. Add an update here. Added an update. Thoughts on Adams rest of the season? I mean, Devontae Adams, he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Fantasy Outlaws, what's cracking, man? You want to make a trade in the TikToker Dynasty League? I think I'm going to inch out a win. If Marquise Brown can just get a couple points, I'm going to get my first win in that league. Yeah, it is a good sign, but much more hesitant. Yeah, you should be more hesitant, Matt. I personally wouldn't take it higher than 195. What's good, bro? I'm down. I love the activity in the TikToker Dynasty League. I haven't made a post about it yet. I gotta do that soon. Will Dobbins go over under 15 points? That's probably where I would set the line. What's the player prop pick? You can find the player prop pick if you're a premium subscriber in the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store. We missed the free prop pick last night because Antonio Gibson got hurt on the first drive. So we won't count that towards our record. Nick Chubb did dominate our free prop pick in the first drive of the Sunday games, though. We are still 11 out of 14 with the free prop picks. Thoughts on Todd Gurley? I was saying, guys, I was out on Todd Gurley heading into this week because the reason you were nervous about Todd Gurley heading into this season was the knee. And then the second I saw a knee injury pop up on the injury report for him, I basically just removed him from my list of guys that I want to be risking money on, because you don't want to trust that knee with Todd Gurley. That was the big concern. So I'm out on Todd Gurley. I don't think you can trust him in your starting lineups. Thoughts on Jameson Crowder in the playoffs? Yeah, Jameson Elite Crowder proving to never have 3 straight bad games. We shouldn't have been overly surprised by that, though he is still in close proximity to Adam Gase, and he's still seeing just the short intermediate targets, while Denzel Mims and Brashad Perriman are seeing the deeper targets. So he does have a lot of risk. Like if Jameson Crowder's not scoring a touchdown, he's probably not going to go over 10 fantasy points. Zach Ertz or Logan Thomas? Zach Ertz should be on the waiver wire. I'd probably go Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas, by the way, is now a top 10 tight end this season in fantasy football in terms of points scored. What are some good defenses in the playoffs? Yeah, I think the Seattle Seahawks are a must-add. I think that the New England Patriots are a must-add with their playoff schedule. They might not be available for you anymore. The Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals, both those teams also have some good matchups in the fantasy playoffs. Thoughts on MT rest of the year? I want to see Michael Thomas do something. Against a team that's not the Atlanta Falcons. He's only had 2 good games this season, and they have both of the good games have come from facing the Atlanta Falcons. And I want to see him do something. I want to see Michael Thomas do something against a non-Atlanta Falcons team. Fantasy Outlaws, I think the playoffs are going to be awesome, bro. It's exciting stuff. Yeah, the playoffs are going to be very exciting. Thoughts on Russ? Do I panic? Nope, don't panic about Russell Wilson. Do we have Thursday night this week? Yeah, I do believe we have a Thursday night. Do we actually? I don't know. Someone verify that? Do we have a Thursday night game? Yeah, we do. It's the Patriots against the Rams. That'll be a fun one. We'll get to see Jared Goff look bad. It is the best time of the year. This is the best time of the year. It's the fantasy football playoffs. The NFL playoffs are coming up. This is the most important part of the NFL season. It's what's going to define how this season is remembered is the next 2 months. Like really, when we look back on the 2020 NFL season, we're going to remember these next 2 months of football the most. I'm very excited for it. And it's also, as we get closer and closer to the end of the NFL season, you just start to try to appreciate the football that's happening, because we're going to have a long stretch with no football after the season. You should change your name to Walter. Good idea. Thoughts on MT rest of the year? I think he's settling in as a wide receiver 2. Sam, I need Cooper under 30. Yeah, Aaron, that's going to happen. Who has a higher chance to get 9 in non-PPR? I think it's Zeke, Teddy. I like Zeke more than J.K. Dobbins tonight. Ezekiel Elliott is going to touch the football more than J.K. Dobbins. And the bottom line is that is what is most predictive of fantasy points, is how much they're touching the ball. Dobbins or McKissick next week. McKissick is going to be a dominant option in PPR leagues for as long as Antonio Gibson is out. And that was also the brutal part about the Antonio Gibson prop yesterday, which was over 16 receiving yards. When he got hurt, We just had to watch J.D. McKissick get peppered with target after target after target. It was brutal. Gibson for sure was going over 16 receiving yards in that game if he didn't get hurt. Just traded D-Hop and Taylor for Keenan Allen. I have Herbert. Thoughts? Aiden. Isaac. I don't love the trade, man. I think you did not get the best player. Noah, Dobbins is a workhorse now. Why don't people understand? He's going off tonight. Yeah, Dobbins is a very good player. He's on a team that runs the ball extremely efficiently, but he is not the only running back in the offense. If we look at who's being used in the offense, Gus Edwards is still very much involved, and Lamar Jackson actually leads the team in rushing. So there is some risk with J.K. Dobbins as well, but I do think he's a really good player. He was a rookie I was really excited about. I drafted him in a bunch of best ball leagues this season. I thought he had league-winning upside if Mark Ingram were to ever go down, and he actually took over the role before Mark Ingram was actually injured. He did play 66% of the snaps for the Ravens in their last game, 15 carries for 85 yards, 16 and a half fantasy points. It was by far the most touches he's had since week 8, but he's only had 2 games over 12 touches. Zeke, Cooper, or Brown tonight? I would probably rank them in that order. I do think Marquise Brown could potentially keep up that hot streak. Maybe Trace McSorley reinvigorated the energy we needed out of Marquise Brown. Maybe he can pick it up after that 70-yard touchdown from Trace McSorley. What a blessing that we got to see Trace McSorley play. Jack Murphy, I'm up 18 and a half points, and my opponent has Justin Tucker. Should I be good? Premium subscriber. Love the app, my man. Jack, first of all, thank you for being a premium subscriber. The premium subscribers in the WalterPicks app, every single one of you brings me one step closer to a dream come true of doing this full time. So I appreciate that, Jack. And yeah, I think you're good. I don't think Justin Tucker is going to go over 18 points. Who's your MVP, Rodgers or Mahomes? For me, it's Mahomes. I think Mahomes has it in the bag right now, but there is definitely a chance. There is definitely a chance that Rodgers can still win. I think he's still in the hunt. But for me right now, if we were voting right now, I would definitely go Mahomes. Debo or Corey Davis? I'd probably go Corey Davis. Corey Davis has 1 game under 10 fantasy points this season. Who do you think is going off today? Dan. If I have to choose my favorite players for tonight, my first player is Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a fantastic game tonight. I think we're going to see the beginning of a run for Lamar Jackson that is going to win fantasy football leagues. Like if you were able to make it to the playoffs with Lamar Jackson, despite spending an early pick on him and him really not producing with what you were hoping for, where you drafted him, I do think Lamar Jackson can win fantasy leagues if you make the playoffs. What do you think about Lamar Jackson going over 188 passing yards tonight? I think that is going to happen, man. I do like Lamar Jackson tonight. What do you think? Who do you think is coming out of the NFC? I think it's going to be the Giants, and it's actually heating up now, but I do think it's going to be the Giants. I've lost all faith in Lamar. He can't throw for his life. No, we've actually seen a season of him being a good thrower. I do think he can still throw. CD or Dobbins? I would probably lean towards Dobbins. Taylor or Gaskin? I would lean towards Taylor. Favorite DFS plays for tonight? Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson has to be in the captain spot if you're playing DFS tonight. Maybe stacking him with Marquise Brown. Without Mark Andrews, I think Marquise Hollywood Brown is going to be the clear top target for Lamar Jackson tonight. I also think you gotta consider Zeke and J.K. Dobbins as 2 great options in DFS. How much is the app? How often do you pay? Johnny, good questions, man. We have an annual and a monthly offering. If you paying monthly, it's $15 a month. If you're annual, it's $5 a month, but you get billed annually. And those are the 2 options in the app. What you get when you pay for the app is access to all of our player prop picks, which have had 68% accuracy over the last 2 years. Over next week, we're going to hit our 200th prop pick identified by Walter. I'm very excited for that moment. You also get access to our DFS Lineup Optimizer, which has been cashing in for people in DFS. The only tight end that Walter recommended in DFS using our lineup optimizer this week was Darren Waller. Like if you use the lineup optimizer this week, you won money, probably more than you paid for the subscription. Do you like the idea of having Andy Dalton and Lamar Jackson tonight, or use Dalton money for someone else on DraftKings? I think I would probably use Dalton money for someone else. I need 14 from Dobbins. It's going to be close. He's definitely capable of it. He had 16.5 last time he played. but the Ravens defense is not horrible. Thoughts on Dalvin's playoff schedule? And do you think he will produce? Yeah, Andrew, I was shouting at people months ago to trade Dalvin Cook for Derrick Henry straight up because Derrick Henry had a significantly better playoff schedule. I still believe that I would rather have Derrick Henry than Dalvin Cook in the fantasy playoffs, but I think Dalvin Cook can still be great. What's that TikToker Dynasty League video coming? Tyler, it's coming, man. It's probably like if you looked at my to-do list, it's probably around 5 or 6 on the to-do list. Schultz or Gallup for tonight? Please answer, Walt. I like Gallup more than Schultz. What do you think about Raheem Mostert? He was a huge letdown last night. Should I panic about Eckler and Herbert? No, I wouldn't panic about either of them. I tried to trade for Henry, but couldn't. Yeah, I tried in all of my leagues. I only succeeded in one of them. I need Lamb for 10 PPR. Definitely doable. I just want to say thank you for your advice. Martin, no problem, man. I picked up Austin Eckler, and I've gone 4-0 with your live stream. Let's go, Martin. That's what I'm talking about, man. But do not celebrate too early. There's a lot of people I've seen in our comments, in our live streams, thanking me for them being undefeated, for them making the fantasy playoffs. Do not thank me yet, guys. Do not celebrate too early. You celebrate when you win the fantasy football championship. Otherwise, the season was a failure. That's the way I look at it. So we will celebrate once we've won the championship. Do you think QT can retain 15 points the rest of the year? Josh, I think he has that type of upside, but I don't know if we can trust him to be that consistent yet. Well, the Saints go to the Super Bowl. Josh, they have a chance. To me, the only teams with an actual chance to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, there's like 4 teams. It's the Saints, the Chiefs. Obviously, they're my favorite to win it all. I think the Packers have a realistic chance to do it. There's very few teams to me that have an actual chance at the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the only team in the AFC I can see actually winning the Super Bowl. What's your bold prediction on the Super Bowl? My bold prediction, I don't have that bold of a prediction because all season I've said I think the Chiefs offense is just too good to beat and they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. But Ben, here's my super bold prediction, and there's not so much logic behind it as emotion. And here's my thought. Again, if you followed me from the beginning, you know I only bet on player prop picks because we've had 68% accuracy identifying exploitable player prop picks using artificial intelligence since the last 2 years. And you can get access to those as a premium subscriber in the WalterPicks app. But every year I also make 1 or 2 future bets. Last year I bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. That one paid off. This year I bet on the Jets under 7 wins because that was just an absolute lock because Adam Gase. And the other bet I made was the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl. And here was my logic here. Been following you since the very beginning. Appreciate that, Mark. Here was my logic with the Browns winning the Super Bowl. This is the year of 2020, the worst year of all of our lifetimes, the worst year in the history of years. And would anyone be surprised if the poetic ending to the year of 2020 was the Cleveland Browns going to the Super Bowl? It's not going to surprise me if that is how 2020 ends. And they have an offense, enough firepower on that offense to compete with a lot of teams. I think that the Browns, it's looking better and better. That bet has started to look better and better throughout the year. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's my bold prediction for the Super Bowl. Do you believe Jonathan Taylor has taken over the Colts backfield, making Hines unstartable? Yeah, Hines is very, very hard to trust. If you're starting Hines, it's just an upside play, but there's a lot of downside with Nyheim Hines. Who should we be worried about after this week's games? I'm Draco. You can't trust Miles Sanders at all anymore. Miles Sanders has to be on your bench. He's too good to drop, but he's not safe enough to put in your starting lineups, especially with a hard matchup this week. I don't think you can trust him up against a historically good Saints run defense. And Jonathan Taylor played 47% of the snaps this previous week. He saw 13 carries, but he was able to total 135 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor has started to really come on. Back-to-back games over 100 total yards, back-to-back games over 15 fantasy points. Start Goff this week? No. Andrew, definitely don't start Goff against the Patriots. I think that the Patriots are a tough matchup for him. Brown, Cooper, Lamb, what order? I would probably rank them as Cooper first, Brown second, and Lamb third. Who is the best defense to pick up for Week 14? It's the Seattle Seahawks up against the New York Jets. I've been saying this for weeks. This is a revenge game for Jamal Adams. Over under 1 touchdown. Over under 1 touchdown for Jamal Adams this week. I'm being serious. Jamal Adams, revenge game against the Jets, he's going for at least 2 sacks, probably a touchdown. Miles Sanders' talent is being wasted in Philly. I totally agree. Miles Sanders is extremely talented. That's why it's so frustrating that he was such a big bust this season. Herbert or Lamar for playoffs. I'd go Lamar. I think you're going to see it tonight that Lamar Jackson is going to be a league-winning quarterback. Any sleeper low-end players tonight? Yeah, I think that the sleeper of the night for me is going to be one of the Ravens pass catchers, because who is going to step up in the absence of Mark Andrews? It's going to have to be someone. And man, would it be fun if that someone was Dez Bryant. Wouldn't we all love to see Dez Bryant go off against his former team? I mean, that would just be so fun to watch. Dez Bryant would be great to see. Thoughts on Mostert? I'm very concerned about him. Dez Bryant, thoughts? Yeah, Dez Bryant really is a guy, when he was first signed, I was like, all right, I'm excited for him. I'm glad that he's on a team again, but he's not fantasy football relevant whatsoever because he hadn't played football in like over 2 years. Dez Bryant has since cracked the lineup for the Baltimore Ravens. He played 60% of the snaps in their last game, up from 45% in the week before that. He only saw 2 targets. He had 0 catches, but he's going to have at least 1 catch tonight. He's probably going to play 60% or more of the snaps. Maybe he could play that tight end role, that Mark Andrews, that hole in the offense without Mark Andrews. I would be super pumped to see Dez Bryant do well tonight. Brady or Taysom? I think Tom Brady's going to have a great playoffs in terms of fantasy football. I like Elliott, Carter, more than Dobbins tonight. And it's a close one. It's a really hard choice. Those guys are very similar. We saw Dobbins go for 16.5 fantasy points in his last contest. He had 15 touches. Ezekiel Elliott, we can project for over 20 touches of the football. And that is why I go Ezekiel Elliott over Dobbins. What should I do with CEH? You put him on your bench, man. You can't drop him because he's on the Chiefs, but you also can't start him. And I was telling people to trade Clyde for quite some time. Noah, you got a different comment than that? I'm starting Dez tonight. I won anyways. That's what I'm talking about. Do you think Breeze is coming back? Because I have Taysom as my starter. Jacob, I do think Breeze is going to come back around week 15. Baltimore defense could do very well tonight. No, Zeke's O-line is not back. The O-line is not fully back. And that is the big concern. And that would be the argument for starting J.K. Dobbins over Ezekiel Elliott. The offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys is absolutely atrocious. Trace McSorley should start tonight. We got blessed with Trace McSorley actually entering an actual NFL game. That was very fun. Dez or Dobbins for 7 points. 100% you're starting J.K. Dobbins over Dez Bryant. We're rooting for Dez Bryant, but we are not trusting Dez Bryant. That's the way I would put it. Sit Zeke. Noah, you can consider sitting Zeke if you have a better option. I'm not convinced J.K. Dobbins is the better option over Zeke. Do you think Zeke can get 22 points in PPR leagues? Yes, I do think he's capable of that. Cameron Irving, offensive tackle, is out, inactive tonight for the Dallas Cowboys. Saints or Seahawks defense for the playoffs? Patriots, Saints, or Seahawks? Yeah, Max, why don't you just add multiple of those defenses based on the different weeks that they play bad offenses? When you hit the fantasy playoffs, and I think I'm going to try to make a YouTube video about this as soon as possible, but your philosophy in fantasy has to change. Once you're in the playoffs, depth does not matter at all. You kind of know who your starting lineup is, and if you can look at a player in your lineup and you can say, I'm never going to start this player if none of my starters get injured, then you can drop that guy for a defense. As long as they're not going to help any other team, you can drop a decent player for a defense at this time of the season. That is okay to plan ahead. I have one league where I literally have only 2 non-defense / kickers on my bench because I know my starting lineup. I always trade away my depth right before the trade deadline because depth is good at the beginning of the season, but it is not good as you get closer and closer to the playoffs. Depth is not what wins fantasy championships. Studs in your starting lineups is. You playing DraftKings tonight or do you not play single slate games? Carter, I did play one lineup on the single slate last night and it did cash. So I will play one single slate lineup tonight as well. I don't like the single slates, like the single game slates when there's only one game that you're playing in. I don't like it as much because there's always people with the same exact lineup as you. And I don't love that. I don't love that people have the same exact lineup as me. So I usually put in one lineup just for fun to root for some different guys. So I will put in one lineup into the millionaire contest on DraftKings tonight. I'll probably be creating that on live in like 10 minutes or so. But I'm not a huge fan of the single game slates. Cam Akers or Miles Sanders rest of the season? Cam Akers. I want nothing to do with Miles Sanders for the rest of the season, and he's going to bust next week against the Saints, a historically good run defense. The Saints defense, guys, it's one of the best run defenses of all time. And by the way, if you're watching live on TikTok, we're about to pass 1,800 YouTube subscribers. You could help us do that. Go to our YouTube channel. We're live on YouTube right now, and YouTube is actually pretty nice because it's a little less spammy in the chat than TikTok is. Eckler or J-Rob or Kamara. I would probably rank those guys in reverse order. Honestly, I would probably rank those guys. I changed my mind. I would probably rank those guys in that order. Eckler, James Robinson, then Kamara. Reed. Hey, guys. Let's be honest. He won't, guys. Let's be honest. Who won't? Who won't, Noah? Hey, Sam, pick on Ayuk, Anderson, or Crowder. I like Robbie Anderson, then Ayuk, and then Crowder. And I hate the Jameson Elite Crowder questions now because I just don't have as much faith in him as I once did. Hunt, Akers, or McKissick. I would probably rank those guys. It's close. That's a close ranking. With Antonio Gibson out, and I'm going to be very interested to see what the projection is for McKissick spit out tomorrow morning by Walter when we run the Week 14 projections and simulations. Pushed out a day this week. Hey, Sam, what's your favorite prop bet tonight? You can get my favorite prop bet tonight if you start the 3-day free trial in the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store. Yeah, there's no need to spam. No, there's no need to spam, especially on YouTube. I will get to your questions. Hey, Sam, premium user here. Mark, good to see you, man. Thoughts on CEH or on Week 14? I have zero faith in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. With Le'Veon Bell there, he just has such a low floor. Yeah, you really aren't spamming too much on YouTube. Should I be worried about Allen or Diggs next week? No, I don't think you should be worried about any of them. It's a joke. The player prop yesterday was unfortunate. It was brutal yesterday because we identified Antonio Gibson over 16 yards, receiving yards, as a very exploitable player prop. I think Walter had like 77% accuracy, confidence on that one. We see him get injured in the first drive, and then the rest of the game, we just see McKissick get peppered with target after target after target. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal. Should I handcuff Jamal Williams because I have Aaron Jones? Yeah, this is the time of year to pick up the handcuff. Hey, Sam, thank you for James Washington over 13 yards. Won me $25. That's what I'm talking about, man. What's your take on Miles Sanders? You can use that $25. That's half your subscription to the WalterPicks app right there, and then you get access to all of the player prop picks for the rest of the season. What's your take on Miles Sanders? He's destroying my starting lineup. You would think against Green Bay he would go for at least 60 yards, but not even. Yeah, man, you would think that. I did think that, and it absolutely blew up right in my face. Miles Sanders lost me an insurmountable amount of money in Week 13. I would have had several huge parlays and a lot of big tournament cashes if Miles Sanders did better. But here's the thing with Miles Sanders. He can't be trusted for the rest of the season now. You can't put him in your starting lineup in the fantasy football playoffs. You just can't. Noah, what's your issue, man? Hopkins or Allen? I would probably lean towards Allen at this point. What's Cam Akers' long-term value? Yeah, he's a running back too. Cam Akers is a running back too now. I like Dez over Duvernay. Dez Bryant did play 60% of the snaps last week. It's not like he's not playing. I did mute Noah briefly. What's up, Sam? Bronson, how's it going, man? Good luck tonight. Thanks. You too. Who should I play at flex next week? Swift or QT? Oh, it's a close one. Swift is such a tricky situation because before he was injured, he had the best game of his career. And QT is coming off the best game of his career as well. I would probably lean towards Kiki QT, but I'm interested to see what Walter spits out. Carson's foot is bugging him again. Yeah. You can't trust the Seahawks with their injury reports either. They're brutal. They're one of those teams that their injury reports are always just – Pete Carroll's so optimistic. What are your honest thoughts on Kareem Hunt? I think Kareem Hunt is still a running back 2/3. He still has a chance at getting some of those goal line looks for the Browns. He's behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, but he obviously has a lower floor and ceiling now. Will Lamar and Tucker combine for 33? Yeah, I do think they will. I think Lamar could get 33 on his own tonight. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have one of his best games of the season. Bro, thoughts on Gibson's injury will end his season? Lauren, it's going to be close to ending his fantasy football season. I think he's out at least 2 weeks. When will Walter be updated? Tomorrow morning, Walter will be updated with Week 14 projections. Got pushed back a day this week because of the Tuesday night game. I hope so. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so too. Do you like Dobbins or Akers better for fantasy playoffs? Probably Dobbins. Of course, we'll have to see what he does tonight, but you got to like Cam Akers a lot too. Sam, do you parlay player props? Yes, I do. I parlay a lot of them. You doing fantasy b-ball? Arthur, there's some news coming out about that very soon. There will be some basketball products offered in the WalterPicks app. I'm very excited to announce that unofficially. I'm excited to officially announce the basketball products once they're actually in the app. Hey, Sam, should I start Beasley or Pittman this week? Unfortunately, I started Pittman. Yeah, I would probably go with Beasley moving forward. I called the Beasley bounce back sleeper pick. People were all in on Beasley as a sleeper last week once John Brown was hurt. It didn't happen, and this was an obvious bounce back week for Cole Beasley. I was in on Cole Beasley. Lamar or Kyler? I'm going Lamar Jackson over Kyler. Kyler's injury is clearly impacting him. I'm going to need advice for basketball. Yeah, I'll be here for that, man. Deontay Johnson or Montgomery? I would lean towards Deontay Johnson over Montgomery, but Montgomery in a full PPR league, Montgomery is going to be a league winner, guys. Montgomery is probably safer than Deontay Johnson just because of his position. I think Deontay Johnson still has a higher ceiling. Thoughts on Josh Gordon when he returns? Yeah, I'm pumped for Josh Gordon to be back. I don't think he'll be trustworthy, though. Best case scenario is he's the third option in the offense. Dez Bryant for DK minimum tonight in Showdown. The thing with that, Matt, is like I like it. I do like it. The problem is I feel like just because of the revenge game narrative around Dez Bryant, he's probably going to have a higher ownership percentage than he realistically should. Like I feel like he's going to have probably above 15% ownership when realistically a minimum salary player like that should not be owned that much. So that is the downside to having him. But he'll still provide, if he does score a touchdown, he'll still be worth it. So I do like him. You got to consider the ownership percentages, though. Where's this Tuesday contest? I want to put in one lineup. Tuesday Showdown. Here it is. $10. Hey, Sam, should I start Lamar Jackson or Taysom Hill? I think I'm probably going to lean with Lamar Jackson over Taysom Hill. And Lamar Jackson, as I'm making this lineup for tonight, I'm putting Lamar Jackson as my captain. I think Lamar Jackson has by far the most upside of any player in this game tonight. And I'm stacking him with Marquise Brown. And screw it, Matt. I'm going Dez Bryant at minimum. He's only 1,000. Yeah, we're going to stack Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown, and Dez Bryant. And then we're going to have to pick some Dallas Cowboys players. Can we fit in Zeke into this lineup? Is that doable? We'll see. I'm not used to these. I'm not as good on the single game slates. Ayuk or Pittman for the playoffs? I would lean towards Ayuk over Pittman. Dobbins or Zeke? Yeah, I keep getting this one. I'm leaning towards Zeke over Dobbins tonight. I like Zeke more than Dobbins. And it's close. It's definitely close. J.K. Dobbins had 16.5 fantasy points last week. Ezekiel Elliott playing behind a bad offensive line. You can definitely talk yourself into starting J.K. Dobbins over Ezekiel Elliott. But to me, it comes down to this. Who is touching the football more? Is it Ezekiel Elliott or is it J.K. Dobbins? And I think the answer there is Zeke. I think he's going to get at least 5 more touches than J.K. Dobbins. And that's why I would go Zeke. And also, I'm of the belief, like my mindset in fantasy is you got to ride or die with your first round pick. Like if your first round pick busts, you're pretty much done. And if you made it this far with Zeke and you're making a fight for the fantasy playoffs and you're deciding between Zeke and Dobbins, you got to go with your first-round pick, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. All right, here's my lineup for the single game slate, the Tuesday night slate on DraftKings. I'm going with Lamar Jackson in the captain spot. I'm stacking him with Marquise Brown and Dez Bryant. And then on the Cowboys side, I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper. We will see how that plays. How well do you think Zeke will play tonight? I think Zeke is going to go for a touchdown. I do think Zeke is going to score a touchdown tonight. I'd like him more than J.K. Dobbins. It's very close. Deontay Johnson or Calvin Ridley? I'd probably lean towards Calvin Ridley. Sam, can I trust Julio and Ridley next week? Or Deontay or Robbie? Oh, those are all really close. I would probably trust Julio and Ridley, though, especially if you can play them together. At least one of them is going to do really well. Thoughts on Chark? Yeah, DJ Chark is not a trustworthy option at this point. DJ Chark was one of the biggest letdowns of the week. The Jaguars up against a bad Viking secondary, and I stacked DJ Chark against Justin Jefferson a bunch in DFS, and that was one of the big misses of the week as well. I don't think you can trust DJ Chark much moving forward. He's not the number one option in the offense anymore. And if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, really do appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Hit that like button. Helps us out a ton. Would love to get to 100 likes on this live stream. We got another 40 minutes till football. Who do I play at flex next week? Ronald Jones, AB, or Cam Akers? Probably Cam Akers. Jackson for a TD. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is going to score a TD. Yarjma, how's it going, man? My day's been great. Thanks for asking. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, guys, you got to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're posting some content weekly on there. We're also live on YouTube, a little less spammy in the chat. Do I need handcuffs if I have Eckler, Henry, Jacobs, and Zeke? Nope, definitely not. Should I start Sterling Shepard or Kiki QT in my flex? Probably QT. He had 140 yards this week. Who should I play at flex in playoffs? Akers, Beasley versus the Steelers. I'd probably go Cam Akers. Sam, will the Ravens D outscore Dalton Schultz? I think he probably will. Yeah, Sam, I like that lineup, but I'm taking Dalton over Zeke. Yeah, that's probably a good move. Zeke has been terrible, and I have room for a QB. Yeah, Matt, I like the logic there. We'll see who does better. 1,780 subs. I'm telling you, road to 1 million. Yarshman's been one of my biggest fans since day one. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, man. You're the GOAT. How can I cancel my subscription after the season? Caden, you don't need to cancel the subscription because we're going to have an NBA offering as well. But if you subscribed annually, there's no point to cancel. But you can cancel just the same way you cancel any app in the iOS App Store. Your app just won me 10K. That's true, man. Is that true? Alan, if that's true, send me a DM, man. Akers or QT? I would go with Akers over QT. Jefferson or Julio? I keep seeing that one. I would probably go towards Justin Jefferson. Thoughts on Lamar over 26.7? Keegan, I think he's going over 26.7 fantasy points tonight. QT or Cup? QT or Cup? Oh, it's close for me. I would probably lean towards Cooper Kupp. Browns D or Cardinals D? Cardinals have a couple really good matchups, week 15 and 16. Cardinals defense is going to be pretty good. Hey, Sam, it's Alex. Alex C, how's it going? Sleepers for tonight. Yeah, there's a bunch of sleepers for tonight. I think that Dez Bryant, the revenge game of Dez Bryant, I think everyone's got to be rooting for that. He's definitely a sleeper. I also do think that Marquise Brown's going to continue to have a good game after building off that Trace McSorley connection that he had. I think that's going to reinvigorate Marquise Brown. What should I do with Russ? Should I trade him for Rodgers or Josh Allen, or should I keep Russ? I would probably take Rodgers and Josh Allen over Russ for the playoffs. Cole Beasley or Tim Patrick? Definitely Cole Beasley. Yes, Antonio Gibson is still injured, and no, I'm not sure if Josh Jacobs is going to play. Yo, Sam, no Pats jersey today. Yeah, I'm taking a break. This is a Pats sweatshirt, though, to be fair. Pats absolutely embarrassed Anthony Lynn and the Chargers this week. That was very enjoyable. Is the game at Dallas tonight? Yeah, I believe it is at Dallas tonight. Someone can confirm me if that's wrong. Hey, Sam, are you going to do top draft picks for NBA since it's starting in a week? Yeah, Max, I'm going to be more focused on daily fantasy and the prop picks for NBA, but I will be here for some fantasy advice if you have any specific questions. And I think I was wrong. I think this game's at Baltimore. I feel like I look at home and away way less this year with the less crowd impact. What's your top 3 QBs for the playoffs? Yeah, this game is in Baltimore. I was wrong about that. It is in Baltimore. Miles Sanders or Dobbins? I would lean towards Dobbins. I want nothing to do with Miles Sanders. My top 3 quarterbacks for the playoffs, I mean, number 1 has to be Patrick Mahomes. That's obvious. I think Aaron Rodgers has probably got to be in that top 3 as well. And honestly, I think that there's a very good case for Lamar Jackson to also be in that top 3. I think you're going to see it tonight. Ayuk or Chark? I would lean towards Ayuk. I don't think you can trust Chark. Can't believe I'm saying this, but Kirk Cousins or Kyler next week. Yeah, this is the type of decisions people are going to have to make in the fantasy playoffs. It's going to be very, very tough. When does the WalterPicks app update weekly with the schedule changes? It's going to update tomorrow morning. Just push back a day this week because of a Tuesday night game. Usually it's updated Tuesdays by 1 o'clock, but this week updated tomorrow morning. And I think that you should probably be playing Kirk Cousins over Kyler Murray at this point. The Kyler Murray injury is very clearly limiting his mobility and his throwing velocity. Cam Newton or Kyler Murray? That's a close one, Zen. I would probably go Kyler. Hey, Sam, what are your favorite props tonight? Yeah, you can get access to the premium prop pick of the night with your 3-day free trial in the WalterPicks app. There's no free props tonight. Liam, though, the stats will be updated in the WalterPicks app tomorrow morning. I'll be up very early finishing those projections. Down by 8, Justin Tucker for the win. Definitely possible. Do I trade Cook for Henry? Yes, I would still do that trade. Thoughts on Ronald Jones? Ronald Jones has some upside. Ronald Jones could end up being a league winner. I'm so sorry, Walter. I won't spam. Can you unmute the other account? No. And it was just on a timer, so it should not be muted. I have a Samsung device. Josh, it's coming on to Android by next season. Thank you so much. No problem, man. Will Lamar rush over 55 yards? I think he probably has a good chance to do that. I'd put him right around 55, though. It's definitely not a lock. But I do think Lamar Jackson's going to have a very good game. Chubb or Robinson? I'd lean towards Chubb. Kamara, Swift, or Montgomery? Pick one. Probably Montgomery. He's got an amazing playoff schedule. Second easiest playoff schedule, only behind Derrick Henry. I probably like Devin Singletary as a better replacement than Peyton Barber if you have that Antonio Gibson. Claypool, Godwin, Ayuk. I'd probably go Godwin over Claypool and Ayuk. Claypool's losing snaps to all of a sudden. Claypool is losing snaps to James Washington. Ravens D is not going to score over 24 points. Noah, thanks for the like, man. I appreciate that. If you're watching live on YouTube, definitely hit that like button. Hopkins or Allen? I would lean towards... Is it Allen Robinson? I'd probably lean towards DeAndre Hopkins. Y'all should download FoxBet Super 6 to make free bets on the game tonight. Interesting, Alex. Dobbins or Ronald Jones? I would probably go with Dobbins over Ronald Jones. Will Lamar go for 30 points today? I think he will. Dude, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have over 30 fantasy points tonight. I think it's going to be one of the best games of his season, and I think we're going to see the first of many games from Lamar Jackson that is going to be his path to winning fantasy football leagues for people. Thoughts on Miles Sanders? Don't make me go there again. I experienced physical pain watching Miles Sanders this week, and I'm totally out now on Miles Sanders. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. Lamar to get 50, Luka, it's never out of the possibility with Lamar Jackson, but most likely not. What's Dynasty? I always hear you talk about it. Good question, man. Dynasty fantasy football is the same thing as a normal fantasy football league, except when you draft the players, you have them for life. There's no drafts. You do one draft, and then every year after that, you just draft the rookies each season and you keep the same players every year. And you can trade future draft picks. For example, I traded my first round draft pick in one of my Dynasty leagues recently for Aaron Rodgers because I think Aaron Rodgers has many more seasons. And this is a super flex league where you can start 2 quarterbacks, so quarterbacks have more value. Yo, Johnny Katz, how's it going, bro? Trade Kyler for Lamar. Yeah, I would do it. I like Lamar Jackson more in the playoffs than Kyler. Jefferson or McLaren? Probably Jefferson at this point. Thoughts on Gallman, but McLaren's definitely safer. To me, Jefferson has more upside. What are some good apps for prop picks? Prize Pick apps isn't available in my location. See if you can download the Underdog app. The Underdog app is a pretty good option. Thoughts on Gallman? Yeah, Wayne Gallman has been one of the best pickups of the season. Quietly, Wayne Gallman has really produced for you if you got him off the waiver wire. Thoughts on Fournette for the fantasy playoffs? I think Fournette is not a guy you can trust at this point with Ronald Jones outplaying him on a weekly basis. What's your favorite fantasy play next week? Wayne Gallman has gone over 13 fantasy points now for 6 consecutive weeks. He had his first game without a touchdown, but he did have 135 yards. He's had his best streak in his career. My favorite play in fantasy next week, honestly, I'm not sure yet. I'm still on week 13, and week 14's projections are going to be spit out tomorrow morning by Walter, and that's the point where I'll have my best takes and my bold predictions for week 14. I'm up by 14.8, and he has Amari. That could be a close one. Should I start Chubb or Montgomery? Definitely Chubb. Thoughts on Raheem Mostert? Jack, he was a huge disappointment this week. The volume decreased for Raheem Mostert. It could have to do with them falling behind in that game, but that's what's going to happen for the 49ers. If he falls behind, he's not going to be trustworthy. Robbie Anderson or Corey Davis? Corey Davis definitely has a higher floor than Robbie Anderson, but I'd still go Robbie Anderson because he's a higher ceiling. Have you heard anything about Mixon or Gibson? If neither play, would you be comfortable playing Gallman alongside Robinson? Yeah, Sam, I would. And I don't think Gibson's going to play next week. And the question is he going to play the week after that? Mixon, I have no idea. Mixon's been on vacation for quite some time, and there's no incentive for the Bengals to rush Mixon back. How do you think CMC will do rest of the season? Yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey is going to win leagues as he comes back. Guys, if you look at in terms of fantasy points per game, who has the most fantasy points per game at the running back position over the last 2 seasons, number 1 is 2019 Christian McCaffrey. Number 2 is 2020 Christian McCaffrey. He's averaging the most fantasy points per game still this season. Is Akers a startable flex? Yes, he absolutely is. Johnny Katz, good to see you, man. Should I start Taysom Hill over Kyler Murray next week? You could strongly consider that option. The injury is very clearly hindering Kyler Murray. Hointy Tointy, do you cover fantasy basketball? Yes, I will be talking about fantasy basketball. We're going to have fantasy basketball content in the WalterPicks app coming soon. Gaskin or Mike Evans? I'd probably lean towards Gaskin. Defenses for the playoffs. Yeah, I think that the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Seahawks for week 14. Love you, man. Premium sub. Jonah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Will CMC come back? Yeah, I do think CMC is going to come back. Kiki or Myers? I would definitely lean towards Kiki. Hey, Sam, give a 5-star review and subscribe. Is Taylor a must start next week? Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, for sure a must start. I do like Lamar a lot tonight, guys. Lamar Jackson is going to be on a tear tonight. I'm excited to watch him. I think Lamar Jackson is going to start his path towards being a league winner in fantasy. And these next 3 weeks, guys, are what decide who ended up being the best picks in fantasy football. The way that we structure fantasy football is that these next 3 weeks are significantly more important than every other week of the year. And I think Lamar Jackson could actually end up paying off his 2nd or 3rd round price tag that you got him for if you can make the playoffs, because he's going to ball out over the next month. Do you agree with Matthew Berry / do you like / agree with Matt Berry / Field Dates? Not on everything. I do like them, though. They paved the way for a lot of fantasy football analysts. I do like the work that they do. And there are 2 people to look up to. Their full-time job is talking about fantasy football, and that's what I'm chasing. So nothing but respect for both of them. Thoughts on Aaron Jones? He plays the Lions week 14. Last time he played them, he dropped 50. Yeah, I told people in a recent video on TikTok not to panic about Aaron Jones. And what do we see? Aaron Jones rushed for a 70-plus yard rushing touchdown. He has insane upside. And that's what you're getting with Aaron Jones against the Lions. He's a great, great option in Week 14. How does WalterPicks app work? Week 1, no info to go off. Carter, can you explain the question a little bit more? Oh, how does it work in Week 1 with the projections? Is that what you mean? That's actually a really good question with the machine learning projections. That's very good question, Carter. I see what you're saying. Because we use machine learning and artificial intelligence, and really what the model looks at the most is previous weeks. Like the last 3 weeks is what is most predictive of this upcoming week. So when we make projections for Week 1, what we really have to go off of is previous season performance and what we're projecting. This is like me, what I'm projecting the roles in the offense to be. There's a lot of guessing that happens in Week 1. It's by far the most inaccurate week of the season. You have to just try to do your best guess on what the roles in the offense are going to be and let the algorithm know what those roles are going to be. Would you do Chris Carson for Montgomery and Gurley? Yes, I would definitely do that. Gallman or Taylor? I would lean towards Taylor. How about Deontay or Davis? I think Deontay Johnson has more upside. Davis has a safer floor, though. Guys, Corey Davis has gone over 10 fantasy points in every single game except for one this season. Do you know anything about Josh Jacobs? I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to be back next week. It's going to be close. It seemed like he was close to coming back, but with the injury he has, I'm not so sure. He's gonna be up to a game time decision again this week, I think. Miles Sanders or Wayne Gallman? I would lean towards Wayne Gallman. I want nothing to do with Miles Sanders, especially against a historically good Saints run defense this upcoming week. Is all your stuff your full-time job, or what is your career? No, I work full-time as a math teacher, and then I also work full-time as the CEO for the WalterPicks app. T. Higgins or Gaskin? I like Gaskin over Higgins. Should I start Cooper or Cooks? I'm assuming you're talking about next week, and I'd probably go with Cooks. Ronald Jones or Cam Akers? Thanks for the 5-star review, Robin. I would probably lean towards Cam Akers. Guys, we're going to be blessed with some Tuesday night football. I'm excited for some football on my television. What's your fantasy record? Well, I'm in 6 different fantasy leagues. I'm actually in 8 fantasy leagues. 6 of them are high-stakes fantasy leagues. 4 of those leagues I'm in the playoffs. 2 of them I did not make the playoffs. This was a very hard fantasy season. And the Android app coming soon. Yeah, we will have an Android app coming out by the start of next season. Love the work ethic, man. Carter, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm chasing the dream. I have Eckler, Montgomery, Rojo, Jacobs, and Sanders. Do I need another safety running back on waivers? No, those guys should definitely be enough, Johnny. What's good? I'm back. Why did Cooks only get 11 points? Yeah, Andrew, Kiki QT, outscoring Brandon Cooks was a bit of a surprise, but I don't think that's something we can expect to continue. What are the chances Swift and Jacobs play this week? I'd say both of them are like 60-40 to play. Gallman or Cooks at flex, I would lean towards Cooks. Do you think I will have Dobbins? Do you think I will win? I have Dobbins, Lamar, and Tucker. I need to get 28. Yeah, you're going to win for sure. I think Lamar Jackson could clear 28 on his own. Thoughts on Ty Johnson? Yeah, Maxwell. Just another example of Adam Gase being by far the worst coach in the NFL. He continues to feed 45-year-old Frank Gore up the middle, game after game after game, refusing to give athletic Ty Johnson a chance. And then the second Frank Gore gets injured, we see Ty Johnson just go off. The fact that he's able to get over 100 yards in that offense is very impressive. How do you think Duvernay will do tonight? I don't think he's going to do very well. Lauren, thoughts on your playoff roster? You have Derrick Henry, Lauren, so you're probably going to win your league. Can Herbert and Allen win me this next week versus the Falcons? Yeah, they have a great matchup against the Falcons. I think they're going to bounce back in that matchup. Mouse, glad you like the app, man. Yeah, if you haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet in the iOS App Store, you got to go check it out. Should I start Crowder or Mostert next week? It's a tough choice. Very tough choice. I would probably lean towards Crowder. Yo, Sam, I have Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor, Hines, Jacobs, and Mixon. Yeah, that's a pretty good crew for the playoffs. I think Jonathan Taylor and Montgomery are going to guide you. Dez Bryant or Duvernay? Carter, I'm rooting for Dez Bryant over Duvernay tonight. Dez Bryant did play 60% of the snaps for the Ravens in his last game, which was an uptick from his first game. It won't be surprising if that sees another uptick this week. He could play up to 75% of the snaps tonight for the Ravens, especially with Mark Andrews out and Willie Snead also out. Dez Bryant apparently just tested positive. No, I don't believe you. Dez Bryant finds out he tested positive for COVID-19 before kickoff. Oh, God. That's tough. This is confirmed by Field Yates. Dez Bryant finds out he tests positive for COVID-19 minutes before kickoff. What a mess. Got to edit that entry I made. Get Dez Bryant out of any lineups that you have, guys. Dez Bryant is not playing tonight. Devin Duvernay, now an interesting option. Minutes before kickoff, he tests positive. That's a bad sign. Oh, man. It's been a tough couple of weeks for the Ravens. That is a good news for Devin Duvernay, by the way. Thoughts on Lockett for Week 14? I do think Tyler Lockett has been due for a blow-up game for quite some time now. Premium sub, are D-Hop and Julio top 3 wide receivers rest of the season? I don't think Julio's top 3, but I do think DeAndre Hopkins is. And I still think Julio Jones is good enough that he has to be in your starting lineup. And I'm just editing. Dez has COVID. Yeah, Dez Bryant, guys, tested positive for COVID-19 minutes before kickoff. He was pulled literally off the field after the team found out he tested positive. No Dez Bryant revenge games. Yeah, I'm literally taking Dez Bryant out of my lineup as we speak on DraftKings. Minutes before kickoff. Pretty crazy stuff. People are going to be, DraftKings should be prepared for a lot of complaints tonight. Start Mostert or Gaskin. I would lean towards Gaskin. Mostert is not going to be safe when the 49ers don't have a lead. And that's what we found out tonight. And instead of Dez Bryant, I'm going to have to go with a different Baltimore wide receiver. It's either Miles Boykin or Devin Duvernay. What do you guys think? I'll let you guys decide. Duvernay or Boykin tonight? What do we think? Can Ravens defense put up 15? Yeah, it's definitely possible. First person to let me know. Duvernay or Boykin in my lineup? Boykin. All right, Brendan, you just decided for me. Hointy Tointy said Duvernay, but you said Boykin. Tyler's saying Duvernay. I'm seeing Dylan say Duvernay as well. Maxwell's thinking Boykin. Let's check who played more in their last game. That's what will be the deciding factor. Duvernay played 87% of the snaps. There's no way Boykin had that much. I think I'm going to go with Duvernay. Thank you guys for the help. Rip Dez. Yeah, I wonder how many DraftKings lineups will still have Dez in their lineup. Like, if you did not check your phone in the next 20 minutes, then you're going to be playing Dez if you already had him in. Well, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, you have to, guys, if you have Derrick Henry, you should be prepared to win your fantasy football championship. I think Derrick Henry, Dez Bryant has been out in the field around other players. Carter, it's definitely concerning development. It is absolutely concerning. I mean, he's clearly been in the locker room. It's not good. It's a bad thing all around. I do think that the NFL is still going to play this game, though. Dez Bryant warming up on the field literally hours ago to play his former team. Hopefully he recovers quickly. Is Dez Bryant out? Yes, guys, Dez Bryant tested positive. He's out. He tested positive literally minutes before the game. Most of Ravens, I guess that's true on D20. Chris Carson or Josh Jacobs for the rest of the season? I'd probably lean towards Josh Jacobs. If he plays, I do think he's top 12. You should release your prop picks after the week. That's actually a good idea, doing a little TikTok video about how our prop picks did. We did very well this week. Those were some cash prop picks. We went 7 out of 9 this week on the prop picks. We got one more going tonight. Week 14, Cup or Swift at Flex PPR League. I would probably go towards Cup. Yeah, Kiki QT is a wide receiver too. Good flex option. Any props you like tonight? Evan, we have one prop, and because we only have one prop, I'm not giving it out for free. It's there for our premium subscribers in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. You can start the 3-day free trial to get it. Hey, Sam, you think Lamar has got 120 in him? No, not 120 points, but I do still think that Lamar Jackson's going to have a breakout game tonight. $120 yards, bruh. Oh, Chris, yeah, definitely 120 yards. If you're talking about passing yards, rushing yards, probably not. How good do you think James Robinson will be in the playoffs? I think James Robinson is going to continue to be what he has been, and that is a consistent producer with consistent volume. Akers versus Pats or MG3, you cannot trust Melvin Gordon. I'd probably go Akers. Would it be crazy if Waller does better than Kelsey rest of the season? Yeah, Johnny, that would be crazy. You said points. Chris, I said points. You were talking about yards. I do think that he can get over 120 yards. I don't think he can get over 120 points. Jameson Elite Crowder, finally bounce back week. Jameson Elite Crowder proving he cannot have 3 bad weeks in a row. Is Akers reliable? Yeah, he's a reliable running back too at this point on a team that's very good at running the ball. I need an answer. Someone needs to get 10.5 points for me to make the playoffs. Dobbins or Edwards? Definitely Chase. Definitely Dobbins over Gus Edwards. That's an easy one. Who's your all-time favorite NFL player? Love this question. My all-time favorite player in terms of NFL is Tom Brady because I'm a Patriots fan. But if we're talking about like lower key favorite players of all time, is Danny Woodhead. I loved Danny Woodhead. I love the small receiving backs. Danny Woodhead produced as a very good receiver for the Chargers and for the Patriots. I loved his career. Here's one of my favorite players to watch. I'm up 44, and he has Marquise Brown. I don't know why, but I'm really scared. Yeah, you're going to be fine. Yes, Everett. Dez Bryant has tested positive for COVID-19 minutes before kickoff. It's not a good look for the NFL. No revenge game. Woodhead reminds me of Eckler. Yeah, Johnny, that's definitely a big reason why I like Austin Eckler too. Sam, I have Diggs as your receivers. A-Rob, CD, Debo. Yeah, those are good receivers. You think Kittle will come back for the playoffs? I do think George Kittle is going to make a surprise return in Week 15, and he's going to win people fantasy leagues. Woody, yeah, I love Danny Woodhead, Mark. He was great. Sam, I have Diggs. Diggs is going to do very well. Sam, do you think J.K. Dobbins will have 2 or more points than Marquise Brown? I need it to make the playoffs. I think most likely Dobbins outperforms Marquise Brown, but that's going to be close. Should I drop Jonnu Smith? Yeah, you can drop Jonnu Smith at this point. What was your reaction when Pats lost to Eagles in the Super Bowl? Alex, that's actually a funny story. I was studying abroad in the Czech Republic when that game was happening. So it was actually like 3 or 4 a.m. in Czech Republic time watching that game. And it was a sad time. And I actually had the first day of my internship. I worked in the Czech Republic when I studied there. My first day of the internship literally started 3 hours after the game ended. It was brutal. That was a horrible day. Absolutely horrible day. Took me like all week to recover. Subscriber here. Good to see you, Finn. Phineas Reardon. Who do I draft with the first pick next year? It's going to be Christian McCaffrey for sure. Christian McCaffrey averaging the most fantasy points per game with the running back still this season in the games that he's played. He had the second best fantasy football season of all time at the running back position last year. So it's going to be Christian McCaffrey for me again. I think Kittle might come back this week. Yeah, if he comes back this week, Josh, he has to be in your starting lineup. The only person you're starting over George Kittle is Travis Kelce. Jacobs, Ronald Jones, or Ayuk. I would probably rank them in that order. Do you speak Czech? No. No, I do not. All I know is thank you. It's a really confusing language. Thank you is Dehu, I believe, in Czech. My Czech's, it's been a while. Hey, Sam, Gronk or Tonyan next week? I would probably lean towards Gronk. Logan Thomas or Noah Fant? I'd go Noah Fant. Thoughts on AB for the playoffs? I think Antonio Brown has pretty intriguing upside in the fantasy playoffs. Depends who you're starting him over. After this 49ers game, you think Mostert will be good? Jack, here's the thing. With Raheem Mostert, he's good if the 49ers get a lead, but he's off the field if they're behind, and he gets a lot less touches when they're trailing. So it is all about if you think that the 49ers are going to be winning in the game, then you can trust Raheem Mostert. If you think they're going to be trailing in the game, you can't trust him. Chris, I got you, man. Corey Davis or Brandon Cooks? I would lean towards Corey Davis if you're looking for a safe floor, but I like to look for higher ceilings, and that's what Brandon Cooks. Is Logan Wilson a good option for a DFS with Andrews out? He's like 1,000. He's an interesting dart throw. How good is Brandon Ayuk? He's very good, but I think I do think that Deebo Samuel can still overtake him as the top receiver in that offense. Will CMC come back 100? I do think he will. Hey, bro, should I drop Elliott? No, you should not drop Zeke. Is he reliable? No, Ezekiel Elliott's not reliable because this offensive line is completely decimated. Brady or Watson next week? That's a close one. I would probably lean towards Watson. Do you think Tucker and Ravens D can combine for 16? Yes, I did see the Dez news. Dez Bryant testing positive for COVID-19 minutes before kickoff. Not what you like to see. Whenever a player tests positive for COVID-19, the NFL conducts contact tracing to determine who, if anyone, qualifies as a high-risk close contact. If there are Ravens who do, after the Dez Bryant positive result, they would have to be pulled from this game also. So this is an ongoing situation where more players could be not testing positive, but could be pulled from this game because there were close contacts to Dez Bryant. So this is an ongoing situation. I will keep you updated. I'm refreshing Twitter, which is the fastest place to get any sort of news source. So we will see. One of the NFL's major criteria for being considered a high-risk close contact is whether you were exposed to an infected individual while not wearing a mask. So we'll see if anyone was near Dez Bryant. This is what we get in the year of 2020. I like Lamar more than Brady for the playoffs. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a very good game tonight. We will see as this situation with Dez Bryant continues on. What are you going to do with your DraftKings now? I swapped Dez Bryant with Devin Duvernay. Duvernay, by the way, played 87% of the snaps. Duvernay's over is a little interesting right now. We will see if anyone else is pulled from this game. Very concerning development. You think Mixon will play? Do I think Mixon will play? I don't think Mixon's going to play, but we will see. It's not a confirmed thing either way. I think that the Giants are going to win the NFC East. The fact that the Giants beat the Steelers, I feel like that was even more impressive than what the Washington football team did. What was the player prop of the night? It is only available for the premium subscribers tonight in the WalterPicks app in the iOS App Store, though we will have more free picks coming next week. Dez Bryant just tweeted, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it a quit for the rest of the season. I can't deal with this. Dez Bryant, I guess, retiring from the season or quitting for the season on Twitter less than a minute ago. Dez Bryant says, I'm going to call it quits for the rest of the season. I can't deal with this. I have Brady. Trade Kyler? Yeah, if you can still trade. Yeah, CD can get 10 for the win. Should I start Akers at flex? Yes, you should. I like Cole Beasley more than Ty Johnson. Do you like Kiki over Pittman and Chark? Yeah. You're a Texans fan too, Johnny? Even better. I would trust Kiki over those two guys. Crowder, Woods, or T.Y. Hilton for flex next week. I would probably go Woods over both them. Yeah, Josh, Dez Bryant literally just tweeted, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for the rest of the season. I can't deal with this. This is real life that this is happening. Higgins, Brown, or Parker? I'd probably rank them in that reverse order. Deshaun Watson or Josh Allen? Probably Josh Allen. Gas, I got you, man. Thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't hit that like button on the YouTube live, definitely hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I was hoping to hit 1,800 YouTube subscribers tonight. I think we're at 1,780 or 90. We're getting very close. You could help us do that if you hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. Traded Montgomery, Corey Davis, and Sanders for James Robinson and Hunter Henry last week. Fair trade, but Montgomery and Corey Davis are looking like pretty good playoff options right now. Bernard, a solid flex option? Nope, because the entire Bengals offense is not something I want anything to do with. Without Joe Burrow, the entire floor of the offense is just lowered so much. I got Mostert, Sanders, Cook, and Eckler. Where do you rank them? I would rank them as Cook number 1, Eckler number 2, Mostert number 3, and now Sanders is number 4. I missed the playoffs with Henry, Montgomery, and Herbert. Brutal. Yeah, it's going to be so brutal if you had Derrick Henry, you didn't make the playoffs, because you're just going to have to watch Derrick Henry go absolutely off as you sit in the sidelines. It's going to be tough to watch. How do you feel about Zeke? I think Zeke is still a running back 2 in fantasy football with his workload. He's still going to see 20-plus touches per game, but the offensive line just lowers his floor so much, Joey. It lowers his floor so much. Mark Andrews or Hawkinson, rest of season. I would lean towards Mark Andrews over Hawkinson once Andrews is back. Hopefully he's back next week. Though with the current development with the Ravens is not a good sign. All other Ravens players tested negative, and there's no high-risk close contacts identified. So no Dez Bryant, but game on as scheduled, and no other players have been impacted. Ben, nuts, this Dez stuff is happening live on stream right before the game. Absolutely ridiculous, Ben. This is the year of 2020. And Ben, we got to remember that this is not a normal season. Like, I think, Ben, it's your first fantasy season. This is not a normal season. None of 2020 is normal. None of this is normal, guys. None of this is normal. This is, dare I say it, unprecedented. So yeah, it's ridiculous. This is happening minutes before a game. I don't know how that's happening. Sam, you're the best. Thanks, Isaac. Thoughts on Kenny Golladay? I think Kenny Golladay, it's been so frustrating with Kenny Golladay because they completely misled us with the Kenny Golladay news that he was coming back, and clearly he was nowhere close to coming back. You think it was a false positive, Andrew? Has any report confirmed that? I mean, maybe. That would be interesting. It seems possible if the rest of the team tested negative, but I won't speculate until I see a blue check mark confirm it on Twitter. Kirk or QT? I would lean towards QT over Kirk. Higgins or Evans? I like Evans. Just got here. What's happening? Zach, what's happening is Dez Bryant tested positive minutes before kickoff. And he also said publicly on Twitter that he is now quitting the NFL. He says, yes, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for the rest of the season. I can't deal with this. Now, I don't know if that was just an in-the-moment bad reaction from Dez Bryant to post on Twitter, but I honestly believe him. Yeah, I did see that. He not only tested positive, which hopefully he recovers quickly, but he also now posted on Twitter that he's quitting for the rest of the season. And we could have gotten that great Dez Bryant revenge game, which is disappointing. Parker, Matthew, how's it going? Andrews, Ertz, or Ingram next week? I would if Andrews is playing, you got to go with Mark Andrews. There's no free prop pick tonight, though you can get access to the premium prop pick in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. Since there's only one prop pick, got to respect the premium subscribers. Not going to give that one away for free. But you can get access to all of our prop picks for the rest of the season in the iOS App Store on the WalterPicks app. Start the 3-day free trial. Kobe says that the Cowboys suck. I don't think the Cowboys are very good either. No high-risk close contacts to Dez Bryant, according to NFL Network. Game is happening, and only Dez Bryant is the one out. What grade do you teach, Mark? I teach 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. I teach Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Statistics. No, Dez Bryant is not playing. What do I do with Hunt? It's making me confused. Yeah, Jack, Kareem Hunt has a low floor. He still has a decent ceiling because he's behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, and he can still get goal line carries in that offense. So he does still have some upside, but he definitely has a lower floor. He's more of an RB3 he's more of an RB3 now with Nick Chubb back and doing well. You just had a test on slope and y-intercept. Yeah, that's exactly what I teach at the beginning of the year. McKissick or Sanders? I want nothing to do with McKissick. Matt and Parker, how's it going, guys? Thoughts on Amari Cooper? I do think that Amari Cooper still has interesting. So is he reliable over Zeke and Mostert? Is he reliable over Zeke and Mostert? Is who reliable over Zeke and Mostert? Who were we just talking about, Carter? Would you rather have Terry or A.J. Brown rest of year? I would lean towards Terry McLaurin as a floor play, but A.J. Brown as a ceiling option. I think A.J. Brown has a higher ceiling than him. Ryan Tannehill has been absolutely cooking. He's been dominant, guys. Ryan Tannehill has been on fire. And we're just minutes away from kickoff. It is stupid to start Godwin over Evans because of the volume difference. I personally still like Godwin a little bit more than Evans. Dez just retired. Yeah, he literally just retired on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's an official retirement, but it's pretty close to it given where he's at in his career, posting that he is on Twitter. He's saying that he is done. He's quitting this season. Yeah, Parker, you do got to chill. Why don't you like McKissick? I do like McKissick. No, I do like McKissick. With Antonio Gibson out, especially in a PPR league, he's going to see a lot of targets, just like we saw yesterday. Down by 6. I have Ravens D. Yeah, you're probably going to win. Dez Bryant tested positive. Yes, he did. He did test positive. Who was joking? Thoughts on Josh Jacobs? I think Josh Jacobs is a top 12 running back when he returns. Drop Antonio Brown for Logan Thomas. Oh, this is what it's come to. I don't think so. Dylan, whoa, how's it going, man? Do you like D-Hop or Keenan Allen more rest of the year? Probably DeAndre Hopkins. Sammy, my guy, I'm going to trade away Jonathan Taylor, Amari, and DJ Chark for Ridley. Is that good? Only if you aren't going to start Jonathan Taylor, because you are getting the best player in the trade. How do you think Amari will do? I think Amari Cooper is going to do pretty well tonight. I think Amari Cooper is a wide receiver too for me. He does have pretty good upside with Andy Dalton back in the lineup. The thing that can hold back this whole Cowboys offense is the entire offensive line of the Cowboys being injured. Got time for a few more questions, guys. And by the way, I wanted to pass 1,800 YouTube subscribers tonight. That was the goal I set. I don't know if we passed that. Someone in the YouTube chat can let me know. We were only 30 people away, so if everyone listening right now goes hit that subscribe button on YouTube, we can pass 1,800 YouTube subscribers. We've hit that mark in under 3 weeks, which is pretty exciting. Someone in the YouTube chat, let me know what we're at. Kyler, Brady, or Taysom Hill rest of the season? I think Brady. A.J. Brown is so reliable. He has a high floor. Yeah, Andrew, he does have a high floor. Not quite as high as Terry McLaurin has, but he does have a high floor. 1.79K. We're 10 YouTube subscribers away, guys. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and then we can all go enjoy some Tuesday Night Football without Dez Bryant, unfortunately. But it is Devin Duvernay season now. We're 10 YouTube subscribers away. It's just people watching on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. I bet we can hit 1,800. What about Deontay Johnson? He's a great option. You think Cowboys winning 27-23? I disagree with you. I'll sub if you unban Parker. Matt, I don't think that's going to happen. And he's not banned. 1,800. Let's go. Under 3 weeks, we passed 1,800 YouTube subscribers. He's not banned. He's just on a timer, but he's going to have to be a little less sus next time if he doesn't want to get muted again. 1,800, guys. That's fantastic. I was on your first YouTube 100 subs. I appreciate you, man. Seriously, I will not forget the OG YouTube subscribers when the movement started. Cole Beasley, yeah, we knew he was going to be a bounce back sleeper. Guys, enjoy the Tuesday night football. That is my time. I appreciate you tuning in. Have a fantastic Tuesday night. I will be live leading up to the Thursday night game for the Patriots. I think the Pats-Rams game, rematch of a previous Super Bowl where Jared Goff looked very bad. That'll be a fun game for a live. I'm always live leading up to the games that are on prime time. So definitely tune into the live streams. And of course, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, you have to go do that. Have a great Tuesday night, everyone. And I'll stick around on YouTube for a few more minutes as always. How do you feel about CEH, Matthew? I want nothing to do with Clyde. I haven't for quite some time now. Before you leave, Dylan. Flex option, Montgomery, Gallman, Gaskin, Ayuk. I would definitely go Montgomery. I think Montgomery's been on a tear recently, and you got to trust him now. He's got a great matchup for the rest of the season, too. Johnny Katz, of course, dude. I remember the OG subs. I'm pretty good with names, too, so I do remember the OG subs. Where can I watch the game, Caden? I'm not sure, actually. Tuesday Night Football? Where is Tuesday Night Football played? I guess it's live on NFL Network. NFL Network. That's good. This one should be on. It was weird. Yesterday, the game was not live for half. Twitch, says Josh. Fox, says Arjun Baller. Do I start Miles Sanders rest of the season? Travis, no. I'm seeing Fox and NFL Network. Maybe both. Game time, guys. Let's go. Let's enjoy the Tuesday night. Rip Dylan. Stafford or Rivers? I would probably lean towards Stafford. Appreciate you guys. Have a great Tuesday night. We are rooting hard for Lamar Jackson tonight, guys. Rooting hard for Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is going to show why he's a league winner tonight. I'm going to end on that note, and I think that the Ravens are going to take this one with ease. Have a great Tuesday night, everyone. Talk to you all soon.